There's mayhem out here, no doubt about it. But amidst all the chaos, the real challenge is operationalizing AI inside your organization. That's why our next guest is joining the Vivid Next stage. Christian Eberle is the man that makes it happen at Gladly. Christian helps enterprise customers design and deliver experiences that are authentic, conversational, and scalable. And he's also evaluated all of the AI sales tools firsthand and knows what it takes to bring strategy to life in a complex ecosystem. Christian, how are you?
Hey, Gerard, I'm well. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Let's keep the conversation going. You stepped into a new role at Gladly. Can you tell us about that transition and how it affects where the business is headed?
Yeah, it's exciting. I've spent the last 15 years of my career in solutions consulting. The last three of that have been leading Gladly's SE organization. And that experience gave me a front row seat to how customers evaluate technology and how internal teams translate product strategy into real outcomes. And now moving into a head of AI strategy and solutions role, my focus is really bringing on Gladly's customer AI vision to life, to making it real, turning platform strategy into technology and partnerships and measurable business impacts. In practice, that really just means connecting architecture to outcomes. How do we coordinate, flexible AI models and governed actions with transparency, low latency frameworks? There's a bunch of technical specifics to it. But in this world, it's really important to strengthen the bridge between our internal teams and external executive stakeholders at all of our prospects and customers. And so we want to spend time with those leaders to align on our AI first strategy and adopt them. And then, of course, rapidly distilling all of those learnings back into our field organizations so sellers and go-to-market teams can scale that insight and practices across the market.
Christian, what sparked Gladly's move to an AI first motion? How's that different from traditional SaaS?
Yeah, that's a great question. We started, just to give a little bit of context and background about what Gladly does, we started as an omni-channel platform, support platform about 10 years ago. And our differentiation is that we're centered around customers and not tickets or cases. And we're well differentiated. We've been really successful in growing this platform and this motion. We wanted to use that differentiation as a springboard. And so we've used that ethos and philosophy to heavily invest and build an AI and automation platform. And we've been doing that for the past 3 years. I'd say that given the explosive impact of AI over the last 2 or so years, we realize that the potential for our AI suite to outpace our core suite is very real. We're finding that our largest opportunities are no longer tied to our core platform. They're buying AI first. And selling enterprise grade AI is very different from selling enterprise grade SaaS. Risk tolerance is higher, cycles are faster. You're working with CTOs and not directors. Usage and commercial models are different. You have to change your business to keep up, which means throwing away some previous assumptions that you kind of needed to lean on to build a SaaS business model. And a great example is actually taking something shared from the product-led growth book. Your customer base is now potentially on a new usage model that should be seen as renewing monthly versus annually. And then sales and implementation and customer support teams need to adjust and recognize how to take advantage of that. Then your forecasts start shrinking from years and quarters to sometimes months and weeks. And that's a hard shift for any business in any vertical, but we saw it as absolutely required for a B2B SaaS company to continue to grow long term in this new AI world. And so we really want to lean on opportunities, not just in how we present our AI suite to our prospects and customers, but how are we also going to leverage AI internally, especially tools that were purpose built to help teams grow and accelerate through kind of these industry shifting moments.
Christian, one major change has been how you think about structuring your teams. You're adding a commercial motion. Can you walk us through the strategy, how you're supporting these teams with coaching and rebalancing technical resources?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we realized that really drove our willingness and our curiosity in this motion was, well, if we're selling AI first, AI doesn't have a lot of the same restrictions and boundaries that a customer support platform might have. Regulatory compliance and security, still very much a real thing, but those are different conversations. And again, the risk tolerance is a little higher. People are willing to grow and walk with you on this journey. And so we are looking at other verticals that maybe we would have traditionally put on the back burner as a growth lever. But we're also, we were an enterprise first company built for that scale, that architecture, that resilience and reliability. So instead of going SMB up, we're actually in an advantageous position to go enterprise down. And creating a small business team of sellers is really critical for that motion. And we're finding a lot of success with not hiring or purpose hiring SMB sellers from across the industry. We're actually using this as a growth opportunity for BDRs and kind of lifting them into this position where they take critical skills with cold calling and outbounding and generating pipeline, and now also putting them in the position to continue that motion and direct sell. And so those are the two major areas that we think are going to provide incredible growth in this AI first model.
You've mentioned that AI changes how you think about sales assist versus self-service models. How's that affected your motion and your expectation of your sales reps?
Yeah, so I'm going to keep leaning on this SMB team component for a little bit. We want to equip this team with AI tools to keep them focused on what matters most, right? Having conversations with prospects, sharing the best of what Gladly can do. And that means to keep them moving quickly, we don't necessarily want to bog them down with needing to bring in additional resources. So they don't get assigned SEs. They are their own BDRs. And AI tooling in this environment is critical to their success. We have tools, not a tool for every component, but tools that kind of bridge components for automated outbounding and messaging creation, scheduling of meetings, getting product information, deep, critical product information into SMB sellers' hands, helping them automate some of their demoing, how they respond to RFIs, how they generate order forms and SOWs. And, we've identified a few AI solutions to cover those categories. And of course, shout to Vivian. Ava is certainly one of them, especially with product information, responding to RFIs, and really nailing down where they might be missing context and how they prepare for forecasting calls. And what that's allowed us to do is try and understand how we can expose SE level expertise to those sellers without actually exposing SEs. And Ava, then having that sales assistant helps them prep, target the right personas, validate that missing data, and it saves those sellers hours per week, which means we get to keep our SE team focused on what they do best, which is being strategic SME level resources for more complex, more valuable deals. And by the way, that's not a knock to SMB business here. Like sometimes our most valuable deal might be an amazing logo at SMB scale. And so we'll continue to support the SMB team when those moments arise. But the majority of the day to day is how can we empower an SMB seller to own it and own it intelligently with context and still be kind of the expert to that specific prospect.
How are you thinking about tooling now that AI is a part of the motion, not something just layered on top? Are you re-architecting the AI rev tech stack? What do you expect from individual tools and how they work together? And how are you defining return on investment?
I love that question. There's so many different components to it. I think the genesis and how we're approaching it is really just acknowledging that we can't linearly scale teams to match the level of growth that we need to go after. So AI isn't a curiosity. It's not a hypothesis. It's an imperative. It's the only way that we're really going to be able to scale into these motions and be successful. What we found with some of these AI tools, though, is there is a definitive difference between a platform where AI has been bolted on versus somebody creating a platform that's AI native. And it doesn't mean that I have to go look at companies who are younger than a certain age. There are legacy and SaaS originated companies that are doing this well. But it does mean that I'm deprioritizing a bolt-on solution that might have been acquired from a competitor and plugged into a product suite. And I'm actually going and I'm testing some of the newer, more foundationally shifting AI solutions out there. And what I'm finding when I test these solutions, there are a couple key things that I think we require, and I think most businesses in our situation require, and that is a level of flexibility. Context is key. Automation in a vacuum just accelerates mediocrity. And any AI tool needs to be able to understand our brand, our narrative, our strategies, our product differentiation, et cetera. And I'm not saying that I need to sit down and spend a week training it either. Training shouldn't be hard. We already have a lot of these things documented. So let me point the tool to them. And I don't care as much about specific integrations. I think pointing AI at something like Slack or Notion or Confluence can be exposing it to years of failed strategy or distractions. It's kind of like opening Pandora's box. Ultimately, I want it to focus on what's current today. What has been exciting and shifting in our strategy in the past 6 to 12 months, not 4 to 5 years. And by the way, integrations are still important. I won't personally DQ a tool if they don't have an integration we'd like, but if the impact of not having that integration is adding even just an extra 1 to 2 hours per week to manage or babysit it, that's what we're avoiding. And so I think context is key. It has to be easy to give it that context, even if I'm just uploading documents in the short term, like let me launch from something that I've already established. And it's not AI for AI's sake. If AI is adding time and complexity to my process, like that is the opposite of what I'm trying to solve for. And ultimately, like if I can get to a really fast, educated, contextual outcome without having to add time, ideally shaving time off of my day to day, like that's the sweet spot. That's what we're looking for.
Christian, last question. For other leaders looking to lead this kind of transition, what's the one lesson you've learned that you'd like to pass along from either a strategy or change management perspective?
Yeah, this is a moment to be bold. I would say lean into the ambiguity, test things out, spin up trials, lean on your vendors as partners to work through some of your more unique use cases. I think it's really easy to find a suite of 10 AI tools and give it a credit card and trial it out for a couple weeks. And you spend most of your time trying things out and then getting frustrated because the product maybe doesn't meet you exactly in that moment. It is important to test at scale and with speed, but also keep an eye out for those really key and critical partners. And you'll know them when you find them. They're the people who are happy to hop on a call. And maybe it's really easy to get the product set up, but they give you an extra hour or two to kind of walk you through and point you in the right direction. Or like they've thought about your customer experience in their AI tool, and they've given you all of the tutorials, the walkthroughs, really good help docs. I would rather spend 2 or 3 trial cycles with a really good partner than try and shotgun the market and find something on my own. And the other side of that is finding SMEs on your teams to trust with the eval and testing of these new tools. A great example of that is our SMB team. Like this wasn't a team of leaders at Gladly trying to find the right solution and then handing it down. Like from day one, we brought our best and our most excited sellers into the motion and said, okay, here's what it's designed to do. Go break it, go test it. Can this actually meet you and your need? And then encouraging everyone to move quickly. Moving quickly doesn't mean moving carelessly, though. And I think something that I've learned, not just for Gladly as an AI solution, but also my evaluation of AI tools, not all vendors are speaking the same language regarding outcomes and impact. So don't sacrifice your brand's trust with your customers and prospects in the name of automation. Like you do still have to be picky and savvy. And last thing, position this as helping your teams run faster and spending less energy and earning back time for the more impactful work that they probably want to be doing anyway. I think we're all aware of the different effects that AI can have on people, and this should be seen as additive and an augment and not a way to reduce costs or prevent growth and scale. Those may be downstream benefits, but we need to be very careful with the lens that we present that back to our teams that these AI tools will be helping.
Christian, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Absolutely, Gerard. It was great to spend the time. Thanks for having me.
So we've heard about AI's impact on the top of the funnel. We've heard about it on sales methodologies. We've heard about the rev tech landscape, and we heard what it takes to operationalize AI in the real world. And of course, we've seen Ava in action, helping in ways we've only just begun to imagine. The future of sales isn't about more automation. It's about smarter, more authentic, more impactful connections. And that's what Ava represents, and that's what we're building together.